All right. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Talking Films Online, dated 22nd August 2026. I am Pranana, your anchor for this evening. For those joining us for the first time, Talking Films Online is an online platform founded and run by Dr. Nikhila and Dr. Geeta Vishwanath. Talking Films Online began as their brainchild 6 years ago with the intent of preserving human connection through cinema. The platform has since been supported by our interns, volunteers, and the countless number of directors and scholars who have joined us along the way. We gather every Saturday at 9 p.m. sharp as per Indian Standard Time. The task for members of the team is simple: to watch and analyze the film at their own convenience through the week before we come together for the discussion on Saturday. Over the years, we have had the pleasure of engaging with eminent personalities such as Aparna Sen, Amol Palekar, Girish Kasaravali, Jayan Secharian, Adur Gopalakrishnan, and Shaunak Sen. Talking Films Online has also been conducting a short filmmaking competition every June since our establishment. Alongside this, we organize lectures and seminars with departments and faculty at various universities. We are also happy to announce the third international seminar of Talking Films Online, which will be held in person on October 30th and 31st, 2026, in collaboration with Alliance University, Bengaluru. The theme of this year's seminar is Thinking Beyond Species, Cinema in the Anthropocene. Tonight, we will be having a discussion on two films: The Hug of Emptiness, directed by Pradeep Kenchanuru, and The Great Indian Illusion, directed by Varrun Sukhraj. We will be joined by the director of the first film, Dr. Pradeep Kenchanuru. Tonight, the discussion will be initiated by Professor Ashir Mehta. Dr. Pradeep Kenchanuru secured his master's degree in history from Mangalore University. He pursued his Ph.D. from Kannada University Hampi on the topic of ideology and the cultural questions of the Kannada film in 2020. He pursued his film education through FTII Pune in 2015. He is the screenwriter of the National Award-winning Kannada film Reservation in the year 2016. He has also won the National Award Swarna Kamal for Best Book on Indian Cinema in 72nd National Awards. Ideology and the Culture Question of the Kannada Film, Chitta Kathida Chitra, Philosophical Issues in Kannada Cinema, Ritvik Katak, and Introduction are some of his works on cinema alongside two books on history. He has served as the jury member for various film festivals across India, including Mumbai International Film Festival, International Film Festival of India, and also served as jury member for the 70th National Film Awards. He also served as a visiting faculty of National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, Nitya University, Mangalore, Manipal Institute of Communication at Manipal. He's currently working on a project titled Creative Industries and Cultural Heritage for Queen's Mary University, London, UK. Our discussant for tonight, Professor Ashir Mehta, is a professor of economics with over 35 years of experience. His areas of interest include environmental economics, international development economics, and the economics of human resources. He is currently serving as the head of the department at the Maharaja Sayajirao University at Baroda. He has several publications to his credit and has been a member of the Board of Studies at SP University, VV Nagar, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, and Auro University, Surat. He is also an ex-member of the Senate of MSU. Professor Mehta has guided various PhD students and is currently involved in ongoing research and academic activities. I would now like to request Professor Mehta to initiate the discussion. The stage is all yours, sir.
You are muted,
I
Ashir.
think you're on mute.
Yeah, okay. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I'm probably one of the first ones to have joined the TFO as a discussant, which is a pleasure, always a pleasure to be here. Somehow I've not been able to join all the time. because of some or the other. Probably you can say my lethargy and being a very kind of I'm a very lazy person, so I prefer to you know be a laid back individual. But anyway, so yes, um, starting with the first film that Pradeep has made on the Hug of Emptiness. Um the first impression that I got, and this is my reading of the film, the first impression was that it, the person whom we are talking about, Chandrasekhar Gowda, uh, is the first I saw on him was the resilience and the pride of being self-reliant. Oh, of course, over the film, I could get to know the hardships that he's had to suffer, and for probably for no reason of his. And what I see in the film is that he keeps on toiling for the entire day, right from eight in the morning to 5 in the evening, weaving baskets. I think there's some echo coming. Yeah. So he toils the whole day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. weaving baskets, and the most he can weave is about two baskets a day. Um, the backstory of Chandrasekhar is that he used to at one point of time he used to own some land asset, which was his ancestral property, and which got divided amongst him and his brothers. The property that his brothers got were either sold off or auctioned, uh, and uh, Chandrasekhar himself, later on, as we proceed in the film, we come to know that he was, kind of tricked into a court case, because it seems he had got a loan of 38,000 rupees and was probably not able to, repay the loan in time. That is what I read. I probably understood that because he was not able to repay the loan, his land was confiscated, and there was a court case against him, and his asset was confiscated by the bank, and therefore he is now without any kind of an asset in his life. So whatever he has is that little shanty that he has in the midst of the forest, and whatever little that he's earning through his selling of baskets, which according to him he doesn't prefer to sell in the local market because they don't provide him with a bill. Okay, so there's no proof of the sale and the proof of receipt of the sale. Uh, at the same time, he is also concerned about the environment. Being myself interested in the environment part, it was very heartening to note that he has a very positive outlook towards preserving the environment, and we being dependent on the environment rather than the other way around. So um, he insists on preserving the environment for the sake not just of ourselves, for the sake of the future generations also. Um, it seems, I think, the cooperative bank, Surya Cooperative Bank that he's talking about, was the one that confiscated his land asset, uh, probably because he was not able to repay the loan. Uh, uh, it seems that there were certain RBI norms that were really not taken. There were certain norms that were flouted. I should not say flouted, but they were not really taken into cognizance, because RBI is very clear before confiscating your asset. You need to declare a particular loan as an NPA, which is a non-performing asset. Uh, uh, So that too, NPA is declared only after 90 days that you fail to repay the interest on your loans. So once you declare an NPA, a loan to be an NPA, there's a legal notice to be given to the borrower, and that also, after that there's a 60-day grace period where the borrower can, he's that's the golden period where the borrower is given chance to represent to the bank and submit the documents in case if he has a dispute in how the loan has been calculated or the interest installments have been calculated. So there are these norms in place, and one just can't go up to the property and just start seizing it or just put a seal on it. Even though he's a borrower, he's to be treated as a human. Ultimately, he's a citizen of the country and is to be treated as a human. But it seems that these kinds of norms were not taken into consideration, as far as what I could read from the film. There were a certain question. There were a few questions that also cropped up in my mind, because to an extent, addressing Pradeep, I thought that there were certain portions that were a little disjointed. When I say disjointed, I mean, uh, uh, I was looking at some context to how the asset was, or how Chandrasekhar was tricked into a court case by the police, and how is it that he was not given a chance to represent, or was he given a chance to represent or not? And initially he says that his all the land portion that his brothers got were either sold off or auctioned. Now, who did that? Who auctioned and who sold off? I mean, I was really not very aware of how those things happened. So, but overall, it I thought there were two issues running simultaneously. One, as far as the banking failure is concerned, the Sulia Cooperative Bank taking away his land asset, and on the other hand, he's talking about preserving the environment. So, what are we really? How should I put it? What are we really trying to understand? Is it the fact that uh, one has to, environment is supposed to be the be all, because ultimately for the future generation, preserving the environment is important. But at the same time, Chandrasekhar also is suffering because of the kind of home he has. I mean, it's a non-existent home basically. It's a shanty, so you cannot call it home. And then he has a dilapidated car that he has, and but at the same time, he's also preserved all the documents that he feels that these documents would be needed to, convince the judges and the court and the police. So he has preserved all those documents also. So yeah, I mean, i- i- uh, at the end of it, you do feel sorry for Chandrasekhar, and I could see the resilience and the self determination on the face of Chandrasekhar, and the fact that he says that he'll keep on fighting. He's been fighting for the past 24 years, and he still intends to keep on fighting, because he feels that it was something that the asset that he had was something that was ancestral, and he it was given by his parents, and he misses his parents badly. So it is in a way a hard hitting um, truth that we see there. And this is not just a case of Chandrasekhar alone. I believe in India there would be such similar cases all across the country in remote parts, because somehow connecting it to the other film, banks have always over a period of time try to please the rich at the cost of the poor. So that comes out in the other film, The Great Illusion. So banks have been doing that. But how far the banks have, abided by the RBI norms is questionable, is what makes Chandrasekhar's problem all the more serious. So, mm, Otherwise, now I would probably open it for further discussion because this is what I read from the film that um, and I would, in fact, congratulate Pradeep that he has brought to light a very important issue in terms of not just the fact that these kinds of people are really suffering because of either the loopholes in the banking system or somehow not being able to understand the banking rules because of being either illiterate or uneducated or not really very well versed with these. Because our laws, India has a multitude of laws, but it's difficult to understand the legal language. Okay, so a layman would probably take ages to understand the legal language of all these rules and regulations. But I mean, and that is why it probably seems that the person suffers, and Chandrasekhar also is suffering. So I would put it for open for further discussions, and probably the questions that I put to Pradeep is what I was interested in knowing, because I felt there were certain parts that were missing. Okay, fine. That's about for all from my side.
Sir, would you also like to discuss the other film and then we can open the session?
Sure, sure. The Great Illusion is actually about the banking scenario in India, and uh, the underlying question that the director and the protagonist, the person who's the narrator, who is asking is whether we've seen India, we've been over a period of time, we've seen India growing at very high rates of 6% and 7% and 8%, and even the COVID did not really subdue India's economic growth, which was something which was very heartening to note. But at the same time, the question being asked is whether it is all an illusion. And he talks about the illusion. I mean, he puts it as an illusion because there is this whole banking bubble that he it seems uh, is about to burst. And yes, there have been problems with the NPAs, the non-performing assets of the banks, and these non-performing assets have, accumulated because of the fact that RBI and the other banks have been lending to people who had no intention of giving back the money. Most of the lending happened with people who were willful defaulters. So they had all the wherewithal, but yet it was deliberate on their part that they basically did not want to pay back the loans that they had taken. So there's an initial talk about how the whole banking system came into this, banks being ultimately lenders. Okay, and uh, uh, most of the banks are now suffering. I mean, most of the major banks are suffering these NPAs, and NPAs are something which is a very serious concern because these are the bad loans. When you and I deposit money in the bank, the banks collect this money, and banks lend our money to the industries and the businesses. And when the businesses make that investment and earn profit from their businesses, they're supposed to return the loans and the interest to the bank so that the banks will pay us interest. So that's how the system works. When the loans don't come back, when the loans are not recovered, and these people, willful defaulters, do not repay back the loans that they have borrowed, which is in crores, 300 crores, 500 crores, like these kind of figures are like thrown out like peanuts. They've taken loans to this extent, and when it, so what happens is ultimately the banks go bankrupt. I mean, not only the businesses are not working. There's a very interesting case where of Vijay Mallya in the film that they show that there is a company called United Spirits which Vijay Mallya wants to get a loan for, and then he gets a loan from the RBI worth, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 350 crores, and then he siphons off this particular money to Kingfisher. Okay, so he's taken a loan for an A purpose and he siphons off the loan for the B purpose, and therefore he becomes a defaulter on the United Spirits. Because that, I'm really not a banking person, but what I feel is that probably that maybe a ghost company where the collateral that he's supposed to show to the banks would be this United Spirits, and ultimately he put the bank into put the money into the Kingfisher business. Now this kind of a thing happens, and then when the businesses go bust, obviously one is not able to repay 350 crores amount of money, and this kind of things, these are where the issues crop up. uh, when one bank suffers this, there's a repercussionary impact uh, over a period of time. People like these, there's Lalit Modi, there's Vijay Malia, who ultimately abscond and their loans are not recovered. So what do the banks do? So then, as one of the persons that he interviews, the lady that initially interviews, she is the one who says that ultimately, what the banks do is start charging small fees and small charges from regular customers. So if you want to start an account, there's a fee that is charged. If you want to close an account, there's a fee that is to be charged. If you make more than 10 transactions, then there's a fee to be charged. So these fees are charged to these regular citizens like you and me, because they are not able to recover the money that they have lent to these big businesses. So it seems there is this illusion of the economy growing in a very fine manner, but at the crux of it, there are these banking issues. Um, they are supposed to be public sector banks, and public sector banks are supposed to deal with public welfare and give loans for development purposes. But ultimately the money goes into the private sector and for the private businesses, and that is where uh, uh, these private defaulters do not return the money, and therefore the bank suffer. So their profitability suffers. So some of these banks then go in for mergers, like PNB and Allahabad Bank, and all of these banks merge. But merger has its own problem. I am a bank with an NPA, which I merged with a big bank. So the big bank, which did not have an NPA now has an NPA, which is from the PNB bank that had an NPA. So these kinds of things keep on accumulating, and there's a cumulative impact on the economy, and that is where. So overall, what I felt was that there is a seemingly seeming possibility of an illusion, but I have my own reservations against that, because I'm an optimist, and I'm an optimist economist. So I feel India is doing really good. Yes, the banking sector, and that is the banking sector's own fault. There are rules and regulations, there are laws, uh, which the RBI itself sometimes does not follow. Now, if I'm a promoter of an A company, and the bank sees that the A company is going bankrupt and has gone bankrupt and insolvent, the promoter comes up with another request to the bank that, okay, I want the loan not for the A company, but I want it for the B company. Now, the point is that once the central bank realizes that I am a defaulter on the A company, uh, I should not be given a loan for the B company also, for the B business also. Okay, but that is not what has happened. The RBI gives loans for the B project also. Okay, without considering that this person is a defaulter on the A business. Okay, so these things have been happening over a period of time, right? So it's basically the NPA issue that is being highlighted in the Great Illusion, and saying that there's so much of money that has not been recovered, of to the tune of 500 crores and 350 crores and all of such amount of money, which really is a concern. So in case, if ever there is a time that this amount of money is recovered and comes back into India, it'll be a huge addition to the economic growth and huge boost to the economic functioning of the country. But it's not happening, and RBI is not doing anything about it. I mean, something like IDBI, Industrial Development Bank of India, was created specifically after the second plan of industrialization. The focus of the second plan was heavy industrialization, and therefore it was thought that a development financial institution is important, which gives policy based lending. So policy based lending is basically you feel that okay, the policy is to promote, let us say the textile industry, so then loans must be given to the textile industry specifically. That is what we mean by policy based lending. Okay, so then you had ICICI and IFCI and all those banks that were supposed to be policy based lending, but that has also not occurred because then over time the loans then started to be given for specific projects which were not inspected. There is an asset quality inspection that has to occur. So if you come to me with a business loan, asking for a business loan, there has to be an asset quality inspector which assesses the feasibility of a project. How profitable would it be? How feasible your project would be? Whether what kind of risks are associated with your business, and what kind of recover, or not really recovery, but what kind of profits are you likely to make? So there is this kind of an asset quality inspection that goes on. Okay, now that also has not been really taken care of for most of the businesses and most of these defaulters. So it it does throw up a few concerns, but for me personally, I'm an optimist, so I'm not really uh, too much bothered because India has always been a very resilient economy. But yes, there has to be something done for recovering these loans and getting these people back into the country. People like Vijay Mallya and Lalit Modi and all those who are absconding, they are living a very luxurious life outside. Malia, they have loads and loads of money, loads and loads of money. They are roiling in money. Okay, so somehow that money has to be recovered, and in spite of having rules and regulations, it's not happening, right? So yeah, so then I think we can discuss both these films further. This is on the face of it what I could gather. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Professor Mehta, for that incredibly insightful discussion. I would now like to request Dr. Pradeep to share his thoughts.
Hi,
Hi, Pradeep.
namaste. Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ashir, for a good reading of the film,
yeah,
and thanks TFO and the whole team, and Geeta, Nikhila, and a couple of my friends also attending, and other audiences also.
yeah.
Yeah, first, you know, you know, Perry, you have put, you know, uh, I want to respond about that. Uh,
Yeah.
Bank has, the Sulya Cooperative Bank has confiscated
Mm.
Chandrasekhar's land
Yes, yes,
in 2003. It's
three.
almost 23
Yes,
years ago.
yes, yes.
Yeah, but by 2006, he filed a suit, and there was a court verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Court very clearly said that it's a bank is a cooperative bank, and the bank has a quasi judicial kind of structure and settling of grievances and issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's why court clearly directed the board of directors of the bank to decide. But what happened, by when it was confiscated, then the board of directors were different. But in 2006, the board has been changed. New
Mm-hmm.
members, new president. By then, what happened? It has become very huge popular issue in newspapers, and it has got circulated too much among the community, among state. After I think after some time, there were a lot of stories also done on Chandrasekhar that appeared in newspaper, and a lot of attention has been given to Chandrasekhar and Chandrasekhar case. Then these board of directors were very much reluctant, in the sense they become little alert, and they also thought that if we decide, or if we give something, some decision on this, they thought that it may complicate the whole scenario. in the sense, because they simply thought that it was happened in 2003. Then there was no, there was other board of directors. So now it has gone too further into a kind of riddle. It was not that kind of riddle actually, but they simply, the board of directors, what they have done is, they thought in a way that we have tenure of 3 years or 4 years. After our tenure, there will be another board of directors. So what we can do is we can keep the issue alive and just forward it to those people. So this was the tendency and attitude of board of directors. That's how the issue has been kept alive still. You know, so that was one thing. And another thing, it also got attention of bureaucrats, district commissioner, and lot of human right activists across Karnataka. They came to this guy. Even district commissioner also visited couple of times. He persuaded him to district. And, they made a decision. The district commissioner made a decision that to give a substitute land for Chandrasekhar also. But he is not willing. He is very much reluctant to go to to have that particular land given by district commissioner, and he's keep on telling that I want my land. So this is his position, and he is very, very clear in this. So that's how that the issue is still alive and it is not solved. It has become a riddle, kind of riddle, and he is very, very, very much reluctant. Chandrasekhar is very, very reluctant, and I don't want any other substitute or land or any kind of perk, any kind of compensation, but I need my land. It's a kind of and I spent my childhood. My parents were there. I have a memory and I have a nostalgia, and I don't want to leave the
Yeah, it has more
particular
of a
land.
sentimental value. Yes.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
sentimental.
Yeah.
So this is a thing. This is a story.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting too because I have.
And
Yeah.
when there were lot of videos and hundreds of reels also made on Chandrasekhar issue.
Oh, okay.
You can find in YouTube and so lot of social media platforms.
Okay.
And lot of ministers, politicians also, for many reasons, different reasons, visited. It got a kind of very sensational issue in the newspapers and lot of their social media handles also. For example, one very recently, I think some 3 months ago, one BJP cabinet minister, earlier minister, he visited and he posted something in his Facebook page. It has become very much sensational. So there are a lot of such videos, Facebook ratings and lot of clips and lot of reels also has been made. It has become very much emotional, sentimental, and it's getting a lot of turns also. So that's it. But he's not willing. When we approached him, he says a beautiful thing that he says if everybody loses their land, their land which belongs to them, in which they born and they have memory and everything, then they can move to forest. So that is what he says, because he lives in a reserve forest. There is a reserve forest regulation in which he has to abide the reserve forest regulation so that he can live there.
Correct.
So if he, for example, there is a very particular scientific ecological term also, NCR, called NCR. If he violates NCR, then he cannot live there. So that's why it's very difficult for the forest officials are also to remove him from that particular point also. Another very interesting thing, he poses some of the very important essential philosophical questions also about existence and the idea of existence, and even
he does
and even meaning of life also.
Yeah.
Many a time, I'm a teacher basically. Many a time, he keeps on asking questions. Many a time, I have become very much silent because I don't have instant sort of answer for those kind of questions. Actually, he uses a colloquial, beautiful language and says, we are part of nature. Why human being has to set a hierarchy in every kind of, social hierarchy and political hierarchy, and why he has to put himself in the top of the, hierarchy. That's what he says. Okay? For that, I don't have, very much
Any
instant,
response? Yeah.
so yes,
Yeah.
response or solutions for this kind
Yeah.
of thing.
No, he also says that if I bear a grudge against somebody, then it's really
Yeah,
not a good thing. I should not
yes,
be bearing any. That also he says.
yes,
Yeah. So
yes,
inter
yes, yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was short film, but really highlighted the issue. I mean, I was happy to also see that there was this environmental concern also in his mind, and his whole attitude was to preserve the environment and preserve the forests, and take care of the forest. That was also very heartening to note. Yeah. But then as I said earlier, when he says that his land was auctioned, his brother's lands were auctioned or sold off, who was the one who did that? Did the brothers themselves sell it off and auction them, or what? What exactly?
No, when his land has been auctioned, the
Hmm.
property has been divided already.
Yeah, it was
He's
divided. Yeah.
yeah, 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 divided, and his whatever that is auctioned, that was owned by him only. But the thing is that is very much against the RBI norms, because, as you
Mm.
said, they have not followed the exactly the process in which one has to
Exactly.
do the
Yes.
90 days
Yes.
notice period, 60
Yes.
days grace, and it happened in 2003. No,
Mm.
that was not the period and the phase of time of social media activism and many
Mm.
things also.
Mm.
There was no voice and representation for Chandrasekhar then, but now he's getting a lot of attention. It's a different thing. So
Mm.
whatever they have done, there was no kind of resilience from the system or even from Chandrasekhar. Though he has filed a
Mm.
case, it's a different case.
Mm.
The magnanimity and the gravity of his intention and his case, whatever he has done, that it has lot of difference from 2003 to the current thing also.
True, true.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now probably over time, Chandrasekhar himself must have now been aware of the exact kind of rules that RBI has in place, and which now he feels that those rules were not really followed by the cooperative bank and the court at that point of time. You
Yes,
know?
yes.
Yeah. So,
That is a main contention. That is a main
yeah,
contention. That's why
right,
he has
right.
gone to court.
Because RBI is
And
very clear. You cannot just go and confiscate the property unless you give the person the chance to be heard. Simple as that.
yes,
And I mean, you have to give me a chance to be heard. And if I have any grievances, or if I have any complaint against the kind of procedure that is being followed, I I can write to the RBI. And the banks and the courts are supposed to treat me as a human being, as a citizen of the country,
yes, yes.
not just a defaulter. Yes, I am a defaulter, but I am a man, or I'm a human being also. So that's the kind of argument that we need to put in favor of Chandrasekhar. Yeah.
And he has a formal, kind of education also. He's a dropout, UG undergraduate when
Yeah.
this was done.
Oh, okay.
And he's into, little into then 2003 literature, theater, and other things also. So he knows
Mm-hmm.
what exactly and the process is, around him, and even in society, the legal process, the
Mm-hmm.
confiscation and
Yeah.
other thing. That's it.
Okay,
And
okay.
again, another thing is he's man of dignity also. For
Dignity,
example,
self-respect, yes.
yeah, very much self respect, in the sense, if you offer anything, he don't receive.
Mm.
For example, we have purchased a basket.
Mm-hmm.
For that, it was just of 170 rupees. He was short of the change. We have given two
Mm.
notes of 100 rupees.
Oh.
But he said, I'll return the 30 rupees change. Now, after 10 days, one student lives very close to his place, has come with 30 rupees change and has given to me.
Okay.
This kind, he never ever, receives anything. And he says,
Yeah.
this is enough for me. And
True.
he, very much foundational, essential question what he
Mm.
asked, what is the meaning of life? So, what is the meaning of life? He says,
Mm.
he says, the life of a prime minister, or even a sweeper, or even a basket maker. Like he says, personally, it's very much same. But again, he, talks about the hierarchy, ego and hyperego, and a lot of
Mm.
human psychology and philosophical connotations about the existence also.
No, his face itself reflects that determination and self respect, and the kind of, the fact that he is doing everything on his own and he's not dependent on anyone, and he is not going to, take anything from anyone without, just like that. He's not going to do that. So his face very much clearly brings out that self determination and that self reliant pride he has in himself.
And
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of convictions of, in the sense,
Mhm.
it's very hard to live in that
Mm. Mhm. Mm.
that deep forest,
No,
because
and yeah,
he's
I
suffering
mean,
from heavy hyper anemia. Because
oh,
he every day, he in the morning, he goes to the forest to collect the this one, no, the material for the basket,
yes, yes.
creeps,
Mm.
creepers. Then
Mm.
he gets lot of leech bites, at
Oh,
least 10 to 20 or 30 average.
oh,
Because
oh,
of leech bite, he's having huge kind of anemia. But
oh,
still, a lot of health issues, and every night he closes all the windows of, the four windows of his car, and he sleeps inside. So
I
he
see.
he lacks oxygen also, and that is
Yeah,
leading to other health issues also.
health issue. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's not so easy, to live in that. But that is to, in a very, that exactly falls in the at the slope of Western Ghat. If
Oh, okay.
you cross 3 to 4 kilometers, then you reach the peak of one particular point in Western Ghat. That is
Mm.
exactly in between Sulli and Madikeri, modern Kurg.
Okay.
So that much dense, and and that is a place, that is very, very, popular place for elephants, and even in tiger also. He is telling he has
Mm-hmm.
seen lot many times. He encountered lot many times tigers also. Even, venomous snakes, and
Snakes.
other creatures also. It's not so easy. So
True,
his
true.
reluctance, I personally think it's because of, you know something what he defined, himself about his life, and the meaning of life. That's what I feel.
Oh, one thing I also observed is
Sorry
he,
to
he
interrupt.
has he
Uh,
has he has kept all those documents and the whole bundle of documents that he has, which reflects the hope that he has. He says
Yeah.
that I have to keep these papers safe because I have to
Yes.
show it to the judge and the court and the police. So he has some hope in his mind that things would be solved sooner or later.
Yeah.
uh, Hello.
Yeah. I'm
You
sorry. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pradeep, for sharing your thoughts on the discussion and also for sharing your film with us tonight. I would now like to request our attendees to share their own reflection on the films. Please feel free to unmute and speak whenever you are ready. Uh, I see one hand, Mr. Murali Krishna, if you would like to unmute and speak.
Yeah, good evening, all. Uh, First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Pradeep on getting two national awards, one for this short film and also for his book on cinema. So, kudos to him. Now, coming to his short film, I think the film has an evocative feel throughout. And also the protagonist amply display the common man's outlook towards conservation. So while watching this film, I remembered the great Chipko movement, the Apiko movement of Western Ghats, in the North Kannada district of Karnataka, where I dwell. I mean, I live in Bangalore, but I'm from Karnataka. So all these issues came to my mind when I saw this film. And also we can remember the contributions of Bishnoi community in conserving the black buck. So the Salman Khan famous case is there, na?
Yeah, Rajasthan, yes.
Yeah. These types of efforts in a way reflect the native wisdom in conserving nature. And it comes amply through the protagonist of this film, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Kudos to Dr. Pradeep. Now, coming to the second film, let me humbly submit that I am a retired bank employee. I was involved in the thick of bank employees trade union movement under the banner of All India Bank Employees Association. In fact, All India Bank Employees Association since 3 decades has been raising this issue about non-performing assets. In fact, let me humbly tell you something about the insider story, how this things take shape. You know, bank employees are bound by that secrecy clause. They cannot reveal anything about the transactions to the public at large. So that in a way actually hinders the flow, the dissemination of information, especially with regarding this NPS. Now, the banking system had a system of workman directors and officers directors. The workman directors represent the clerical and the subordinate staff, and officers directors. But you know, only two directors are there on the board among many. The directors are also represented from the Minister of Finance and other fields. The eminent personalities belonging to various fields also find a place there. RBI director will also be there. Now, a workman director or an officer director cannot go to the press, cannot go to the media, cannot go to the public and tell openly about what is transpiring in the board or about anything that has to do with this loan business or even the NPAs. So that's the major obstacle that is there. Many people, they don't know it. So this is the bar on the employees. They cannot go to public. Even trade unions working in banking sector cannot publicly state anything about this NPS or any affairs of the banking industry as such. Now this is point number one. The point number two is what ABA did, All India Bank Employees did was, it did get some inputs from the base level unions about these NPAs, and they publish a compendium of nearly 1,000 pages having this willful deposit. It contained the list of these willful depositors, which prompted even the then vigilance commissioner during the UPA rule, I'm telling, the vigilance commissioner, Mr. N. Vittal, to go on record that you have done a marvelous job of bringing into public these willful defaulters. Now, I think the rot set in since some 3 decades. Both the UPA government and the NDA government are culpable for the present sorry states of affairs of NPAs in the banking industry. I don't want to go into the reasons for nationalization and also the privatization of the banking industry at large. And you know, one important thing we have to notice is we always put Pakistan in poor light in many aspects. We use expletives against Pakistan. Okay, that's fine. But long ago, some 50, if my memory serves right, or 15 to 20 years ago, it did pass a law which prohibited, which placed stumbling blocks in the way of willful defaulters fleeing from Pakistan. That is, going to abroad by the willful defaulters was halted. But no such law was passed in India. No such law was passed in India, and I think it will not be passed also due to very many reasons. So all these things came into my mind, and personally, I humbly submit that I have written many articles in the vernacular in Kannada about this NPS issues, and it has appeared in some of the Kannada papers, Kannada newspapers or magazines. Uh, I think that's a wonderful film. Kudos to Varun also for bringing this issue into the public domain. Thanks.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to speak, Geeta ma'am, if you would like to speak,
Yeah,
please.
Thank you, Pranayana. Thank you, Ashir, for your wonderful introduction to the two films. Before
you.
I say anything about the films or today's session, on behalf of TFO, I would like to convey our heartfelt condolences to Tarkeshwar and Nikhila. Tarkeshwar lost his father yesterday, and we pray that his father's soul transitions in peace. Yeah, with regard to the films, I actually really don't, have much idea about the nuances of economics. About the first film, The Hug of Emptiness, I thought it was, apart from, of course, the economics behind the fall of, the fall of Chandrasekhar to his present condition. But like Ashir, I also read it as a very human story. And I was just wondering how Pradeep got to know of this person.
Yeah.
And how he went about filming and all of that. That would be my question to Pradeep. And with regard to the second film, the documentary, That Great Indian Illusion, I was just thinking that, as middle class people, we put all our faith in the banking system. When somebody advises us, no, banks don't give much interest, why don't you invest in mutual funds and stocks? There is some hesitation on our part to do that, because we always feel that no, if we put it in a bank, our money is safe. So, a film like this kind of, it's, the Great Indian Illusion. It really shows us that, yes, we are, it is an illusion indeed that, we get the best out of our banking system. Perhaps we still do. I don't know. But then a film like this shows us that well, all is not well with our banks. So that is what I learned from the two films. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Pranayana.
So both of these films are interesting and in their own way. And in fact, I also had the same question to Pradeep, that what made you make this film? I mean, had you heard about Chandrasekhar before, or because of the reels and because of the media attention that you said was given to this issue? What made you get into this whole life story of Chandrasekhar? This was my question too, and I think Geeta voiced it. So that's what I wanted to ask too.
Yeah, some 3 to 4 years ago, I have seen a story in a Kannada daily. So I came to know about Chandrasekhar. But I then I, thought of it, if I do a small or short documentary about Chandrasekhar, you know, that's what I thought of it making a short documentary. But since 3 years, I'm working in Sullia itself. I got transferred to my original native to Sullia is 330 kilometers. Uh, so uh, it is very close to that person. From my working place to Chandrasekhar's place is nearly 20 kilometers in the deep jungle, especially if it falls in Western Ghats. So I thought of, why don't, me give a try? Uh, that's what I thought it, and I started. And while deciding this, I didn't had any, formal kind of structure or narrative pattern. Uh, and it was very difficult for me also, for anybody also, because whenever you go there and approach him, then he asks the permission of forest department. Okay, what happened? Now the forest minister is changed in Karnataka. The first term, the first phase of Congress government, there was a wonderful forest minister who was very much sensible also. He was very much pro forest kind of thing. He abolished lot many permissions, permissions, majorly filmmaking in jungle. So that's why whatever we need to get the permission, we need to approach the forest office directly. That is to headquarters Bangalore. So it was uh, again very much bureaucratic process. It's not so easy to attain the permission. So if we have, so always Chandrasekhar asked me, before shooting, some 8 to 10 times I visited Chandrasekhar. So whenever I go there, he used to ask, same kind of question, where is the permission there? So eventually, somehow we managed it. Okay, and he also agreed, and we started shooting. We shot for some days, but one day, in the morning when we reached the crew reached there. Then he said, no more shooting. That's what he said. Then it was a ethical baggage for me also. Then I said, okay, if you deny, definitely we are not going to shoot you. That's what we said, and we packed up and we came back. That is one. And second thing, my shooting experience, regarding my shooting experience. This is my first film, short of film. Basically, I'm a cinephile. I had been to Cannes, Berlin, Cannes, Karlovy, and other major festivals only for watching films. That's it. In India also, I attend a lot of festivals. Basically, I'm a cinephile. That's it. I'm a curator and programmer too. But filmmaking is, it's a new thing for me. But fortunately, I had a very good crew. One of my friend who has done his course in SRFTI, worked as a cinematographer, and another my close friend and very serious cinephile from Karnataka, who also edited some segments of Pedro, the first early segments of Pedro, 30-40% of Pedro, edited my film. It was in a way, very much fortunate because, as I, already put it, that, I didn't had any very much formal kind of open and end kind of linear narrative, texture for the film. When I discussed it with Prashant, Prashant, thought of and pursued and thought of it in a different way. He said, we don't want to, picturize this whole Chandrasekhar story in the whole full fledged full life story. We don't want to picturize it. And second thing, from the whatever happened, the bank thing, and up to the the confiscation and whatever, whatever he is living there, we are also not focusing on that. Instead of that, what he suggested, let him to speak, Pradeep. Let him to speak. What we can catch or what we can shoot is, his daily course. When he starts, when he wake ups, when he starts, how he goes to the forest, deep forest, to fetch the basket material, and how he comes back, how he preserves his documents, and how he's critical about his existence and human existence, and how he poses questions on us. Those things we want to show. That is a suggestion from my friend Prashant. So, whatever we have got, midway he said no for shooting, and whatever we have got the footage, Prashant and me, sat, and we used some common sense. We used some kind of informal narrative pattern for the film. Alternatively, in the sense, he's talking about his daily businesses, along with a visual portrayal of his daily thing. That is, he goes to forest and he fetches basket material, and he makes layer by layer the basketing. He makes the basket, and in the end he produces two baskets that you can see on his hut, actually. So he told, and we were at a point, me and Prashant also convinced that this should be the pattern. So we are not going to tell the whole story, and we are not going to tell the whole patho of Chandrasekhar also. So we thought of focusing little on the spirit and his existence, and his questions, his how he poses questions about life, and on us, and on civilization itself, and the people who are from city, and we are living in city also. So this is what made us to formulate a somewhat different kind of formal beginning and formal ending kind of thing, rather choosing this kind of format.
Thank you so much, sir. Tushar, sir, if you would like to share your thoughts, kindly unmute him.
Yeah, hi. I mean, I don't think anybody needs to call me sir, but I just wanted to talk about the second movie a little bit. I saw only that one, so apologies, I've not seen the one that you made, Dr. Pradeep. The Grand Illusion one, I saw that, and I like, I mean, a little bit about me. I actually run an NBFC, so like, I'm one of the bad guys according to the movie, basically. Right. So I wanted to like just uh, get my thoughts on that, right? Like, so uh, I mean, it's like a 1 hour thing, the movie, and there's a lot of facts that get stated in the movie. I don't think any of the facts as a standalone fact are incorrect, like in the sense there's no lies or bluffing or anything that has happened. But I don't think a lot of them are related to each other. Like in the sense, yes, it is a series of facts that have been mentioned. Uh, there has been some attempt to pull it together as the common cause being, in some sense, like say, the RBI plus privatization plus corruption. Like these three things together seem to be the explanation for all of those problems that are stated. And I don't think that's true. So while each of those individual facts are true, they're sort of not directly related to each other. And the problems in the Indian banking system that exist, uh, while they exist, I think the solution alluded to in that entire movie is that the public sector system somehow didn't have those problems, or like that's the solution, that if you don't privatize somehow all of these problems will go away, right? And that I'm not very convinced about. Like, I mean, in some sense, I'm sort of like a insider in the system, and I'm fairly certain like you'll end up with a different set of problems. And in some sense, we have sort of gone from fully private to public and private. So when each decision was made, the idea was that we are solving something, so that decision is getting taken, right? So now suddenly going back again to like, oh, let's get rid of private banks and nationalize everything. I mean, I don't think that's really going to solve any of the issues, right? One of the things I do agree with, but I don't think the movie actually talks about that is, I mean, I've personally worked with the RBI. I had to go through a licensing process, etc. They're massively underfunded, understaffed, right? So if you have to have a world-class regulator, you actually need to pay people like market salaries so that you attract talented people to become regulators. And then you need to actually give them a budget to monitor banks so that collapses don't happen. So I don't think, I mean, the movie actually got to that point because I think the focus was like, hey, RBI is not doing enough, and that's probably true. But like, I don't think the RBI has the resources to do more, right? So, I mean, every single private bank office you will go to will be more well funded than the RBI, right? Like, which shouldn't be the case because the RBI could technically just charge the banks to be the regulator and just kind of get their money from the banks. The banks have sufficient profits today. Like, if you look at the other thing is like this whole thing about a bubble in the banking system, right? If you look at actual bank balance sheets today, right, like they're very strong, like they're very well capitalized, they have a lot of money, they're making a lot of money, there's a lot of profit in the system. So they are not in any risk whatsoever, essentially, right? Like you can charge them money and like they will not give it because it's private money and they'll be like, why should I give it to you? But like, I mean, you're the regulator, so you can kind of muscle your way into taking more money if you wanted to, essentially, right? Corruption at the high level, like the reason why the Vijay Mallya's and the Nirav Modi stuff happens, yeah, there is corruption at a high level. It is there in the public sector bank, it is there in the private bank, it is there outside the banking system also, right? So I'm not denying corruption in the banking system. It exists everywhere. From the attitude of like, hey, let me pay less than the challan that a roadside traffic cop will like kind of take, to like if I give the branch manager a bribe, he will give me a loan. It's the same attitude at different scale, different sophistication. So uh, that's just who we are as a country, as a people, or whatever. Like if there is an opportunity to be corrupt, people will be corrupt. Like I mean, I don't think there is like goodness of heart or anything like that that's going to stop people once everyone sees like, oh, it's okay to be corrupt. Like, and like, driving on the wrong side of the road is fine. Yeah, then people will drive on the wrong side of the road, right? Like, so I think I don't see that as being like a barrier. So that's there in the banking system also, essentially. Sorry, Ashir, you wanted to say something?
No, so since you talked about corruption and the RBI doing its work, having funds and lack of funds rather, what I also would like to add to what you said is that I mean, not really add, but a question where, does the central bank also have the autonomy that it deserves? You see the case of Urjit Patel, you see the case of Raghuram Rajan. They've had to leave the RBI because seemingly there was interference from the government in its functioning. So, being a central bank, how much is the autonomy that they are given?
Yeah.
One. That's one part of your thing that I observed. I mean, I want to comment on. Second, when you talk about corruption and you say that okay, I mean, we as a country are okay with corruption, which is fine. When it comes to corruption in the banking sector, that corruption occurs with our money, with my money. That's where the problem is. Otherwise, the rest of the corruption that we see is at your own level, and you are doing it. I mean, without
No, no.
harming.
All corruption is with our money. The entire government works with our money. Like
Yeah,
somebody
that's what.
paid tax and somebody is taking a disproportionate
So
benefit out of that. So all
so
corruption is with our money.
True. So,
Yeah.
but here the corruption is at a when you talk about people's money, it's at a massive scale. It's at a national scale that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's a huge. and that ultimately is going to affect the banking system, because that it you talk about the demonetization wave that came about, and seemingly it was because you had to stop the black money and all that, and then they went on to print a 2000 rupee note. I mean, there were some kind of haphazard and ridiculous decisions that were taken by the
Of course.
government, you know.
Yes, but I think there you have to separate out the bank's decision versus the government. My read on demonetization is very different. The government wanted demonetization. I don't think the banks knew about it when it was announced.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they were like, oh, we demonetized and like now we need to do some work because like nobody told us about this kind of thing, right? I think that was the
True,
reaction.
true,
And I
true.
think there was rampant corruption in the exchange of notes. So
Hmm.
finally, like when the way it was structured, right, like demonetization, which is you had a certain limit on how many notes you had to submit and take
So,
back, etc.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
Bank employees did not have to keep a record of where the notes came from. They only needed to count the notes,
hmm, hmm.
right? So a
Okay.
lot of the black money actually just got recycled into new notes by
True.
saying that this much came, this much went out. Where did it come from? Where did it go? There is no record, and these are handwritten like on bundles of cash. Imagine a handwritten
Hmm,
post-it, right? This was it. This was the record that was maintained, right? For a long
hmm.
time, at least I remember in the news, right? Like the RBI never announced how much money came back because it was embarrassing for them to say that like more money came back than we have issued. Like the RBI total in its life said, I have given out say 100 rupees, right? And they said now bring it all back, and 110 came back. And now you cannot differentiate which 100 is mine and the rest is counterfeit. That is an
Hmm.
embarrassment of a different level. They had to just stay silent until people forgot about demonetization. And then quietly the figures were released where the number is greater than cash issued. Right? So, I mean, it is, yes, at that level, there is incompetence, corruption, whatever you might call it. So, it exists. Nobody is denying that. But I went through a licensing process with the RBI, right? Like, not a single person asked me for a bribe. It is slow, it is bureaucratic. They will send emails in which they are asking for information that they only asked 1 month back. They will reply to emails once in a month. It is a slow, painful process, but nobody asked me for money. At the end of it, like 2 years later, they gave the license, right? So I have not been asked for a bribe personally by the RBI. So at the lower level, right? Like, I mean, my company is not a big company. It is an inconsequential company in the overall scheme of things. So there's no corruption. Like, you will go through the process. It is slow, it is painful, it is bureaucratic, but it works. At the highest level, obviously there is interference. Like at Raghuram Rajan level, he is probably colliding with like political interests, and therefore, like, yes, there is an opinion on should he be the governor or not. But the deputy governor, the assistant general manager, the general manager, they are just executing daily tasks that impact companies, people, etc. It doesn't matter to the government. Like it's going on. Like that is functional. So, in my view, the RBI is a fairly functional organization with very, very low resourcing for actual monitoring of banks. Cooperative banks exist only because basically, like, I think one of the points made was like trust in the banking system, right? Cooperative banks are fundamentally community banks or like caste-based banks or
Yeah.
some sort of regional bank where there is hyper local trust, which is like that bank exists only in a certain community or region. It is not a pan-India bank. That trust is broken by specific promoters because
Yes.
RBI's
Yes.
ability to monitor that many banks just doesn't exist,
Yes. Yes. In
right?
fact, so the cooperative bank like Anyonai Cooperative, which was probably more than 100 years old,
So actually,
had to.
Anyone is India's first credit union
Yeah.
ever, and it is a Baroda-based union.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But then it had to, it went bust
Yeah.
because the promoters were, giving money amongst themselves. You know, so yeah, that is another issue. Yeah. I mean,
So the
true.
ability of RBI to monitor, I fundamentally believe doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Intent at the officer level, like let's say the general manager level, does exist. Ability doesn't exist. And
Hmm.
after a while, at the highest level, when once you're colliding with a politician, you're like, yeah, it's a job. Let me keep my salary and like not get
True.
fired, kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point, you walk away from the fight.
Yeah. True.
Right. So that is how everybody behaves in the government, all public sector employees, even private employees for that matter. So like there is a line you will not cross. Like putting your life at risk or like your income at risk, essentially. Right. And that is how corruption survives at the highest level. It is not an India problem. That is how globally it survives.
True.
Thank you so much. We have a few comments in the chat. Lalita, if you would like to unmute yourself and speak, then you could do that. Okay, I'll just read out the comment. It says, the knower has the responsibility to use his knowledge to help the larger good, be it a banker, a lawyer, teacher, professional ethics. We also have another comment from Sridhar, if you would like to unmute and speak, sir.
Mine is just a query. After the discussion, I felt comfortable. But the procedures various departments have and the languages that they use make us literate also non-literate. So we also don't. We feel that we can say that we have financial illiteracy. So those makes these films also. First, when I watched it, I got terrified, but after discussion, I felt comfortable. But this problem persists. Thank you.
Yeah, so that is a good point, Mr. Sridhar, and I can tell you very confidently that it is deliberate. The intent is to confuse you, right? Like, so otherwise, like, I mean, if you understood everything, then how will the bank make money?
Thank you so much, sir. If anyone else would like to share their thoughts, please feel free to unmute and speak.
Pranayana, can I come in?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Pradeep, thank you very much for making available your award-winning film to TFO for all of us to watch, and also for taking us through, how you met the subject of your documentary. I'll come back to this point in a bit, but I want to say how these two films, kind of accidentally were put together. Since Pradeep's film is for about 20-25 minutes, we wanted another film, and I had only read Pradeep's film when I made the choice of the other film. I sent it to Pradeep, and he said, "This seems fine. I mean, this goes along with my film, I suppose." So that's how the two films came together, and I think the two are saying something fairly important in the sense and contrasting things. While the banks are going at people like Chandrasekhar Gowda, how they allow big corporates to get away with non-payment of loans. So the contrast was really striking for me. And the second point I want to make, the first point is this contrast, the way in which rules seem to apply to the really poor or people on whom rules can be applied. So you can just take away his property because he has not repaid 38,000 loan or something. While such rules or such alacrity in application of rules does not seem to exist with another set of borrowers. The second point that I found remarkable, Pradeep, in your film is, I mean, this man is, is a philosopher. Yes, there is a personal tragedy that he's living through. But how has he kind of not reconciled? There is a resistance in and fight in his life. His very life is one of a fight and resistance, I would think. And also that shack, the way he has structured it, the car, I mean, the sheer incongruity of his of the things that he has there, a broken down car, and then these apparently invaluable property papers that he hopes someday to be able to present to the courts to make out his case. The ramshackle place that he has put up for himself, the bicycle uh, that he rides, the half latch that seems to keep his assets secure. I mean, what does living on the edge mean is what you see with precarity. You see that, but also someone who thinks, who's not just living, but someone who's thinking of his condition, who's philosophizing, who's trying to build a particular kind of rationale for the kind of work he does. I thought he's such an amazing subject. I really enjoyed your film very, very much, Pradeep. Thank you for introducing such an interesting subject. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll stop.
Thank you very much, Nikhil.
Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Uh, if anyone else would like to share their thoughts, please feel free to unmute and speak. I don't think we have any more questions. Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight and shared such wonderful insights on the films. And once again, a huge thank you to Professor Mehta and Dr. Pradeep for guiding us through these amazing films with such depth and clarity. It's given us so much to sit with long after tonight. To everyone watching, thank you for being a part of this journey with Talking Films Online. We will be back next Saturday at 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time with another film and another discussion. Do join us then. Until next time, this is Pranayana signing off. Good night and take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashir.
I
Thank
would
you,
like to
Pradeep.
thank Geeta and Nikhila both for inviting me to be a discussant.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure, and I now feel that I can be a part of further these kinds of discussions in case if opportunity arises, and if there's ever any chance in the future, I would really would want to be a part of the discussions in the future. But thank you very much, Geeta. Thank you, Nikhila, and thank you all of the other participants, Tushar particularly, for giving that insight into the whole, the how the banking system and the RBI works. Because as I said earlier, I am not a man of banking. I'm a man of economics. So that's two different areas actually. Banking is a specialized area in itself, whereas economics is basically, theorizing the various aspects of the economy. But nonetheless, thank you very much. Thank you, Pranayana, also for
Thank you.
anchoring the show. Thank you, Geeta, once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good
Thank you,
night.
Pradeep, for the enlightening short film that you made. Really a wonderful film, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ashir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta, and thank
Thank you,
you,
Pradeep. Thanks
Nikhila,
for joining.
and thanks for all the audience who joined the program. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good night, all.
Good night. We will be having our team meeting now, so the rest of you can sign off.
Okay. See you around.
Yeah, bye. Tripti, you may log off. We will be having our team meeting now.